not hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here. It's true. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated.
Our problem has been, as black people, we've always been concerned about white America, never about us. And what we've always thought is that white America equal the same interest as us. That is not true. We must now be concerned.
I can't be a pessimist because I'm alive. To be a pessimist means that you have agreed that human life is an academic matter. So I'm forced to be an optimist. I'm forced to believe that we can survive whatever we must survive.
I might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary.
Tuned in to the End of the Bench media that's bold, black, and beautiful. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good everything. This is your man, Brian H. B. Williams, tapping in from End of the Bench Media, and this is just an impromptu episode of my program. And I just want to, I had a lot on my mind last night, so I said when I got ready, I would tap in with you guys and talk about a few things that have been on my mind. We sing, first and foremost, I'm going to do what I do every week. I'm going to acknowledge every time I fire up. I'm going to acknowledge both my parents. That's Dolores and George. Without Dolores and George, there is no me. Without no me, there is no The End of the Bench Media. And there is not this program. So thank you to my parents, everybody connected to them, whether it be spiritually, emotionally, physically, or biologically. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in. If you are watching via YouTube, hit that like, hit that share. Or you can always go to my personal website and you can tap in there. I need you to subscribe. I need you to comment, and I need you to pay close attention to what I'm going to say today, because I believe it's important. You can always go right there on the screen. You see it on the bottom of the screen. You see www.theendofthebench.com, the name of the, basically the name of the network.com, THAENDOFDABENCH. Thank you for tuning in. It is important that you do so. It helps the program. Thank you. Like, share, comment, thumbs up. It is important that you do so. Now, the name of the program is You Don't Need Us, Huh? The reason I entitled it You Don't Need Us, Huh? is because as Black people in the United States of America, we have been relegated to second-class citizenship. And I don't know how you relegate the people who built the country. The financial stability of the country was built on the back of our ancestors, and it continues to be the number one export is Black culture in the United States of America. Yet we are treated and viewed as second-class citizens. There's propagandized news that make us seem lazy, and then we are suffering from one of the greatest tools of wickedness, the devil, or whatever you want to call it, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer has been destroying our community for quite some time. We are in a situation to whereas we allow the oppressor to determine how we see ourselves, how we view ourselves, and how we act amongst each other. Where anytime we get a quarter, we're trying to move away from each other. And basically, I want to know, how is it possible that the most vibrant, intelligent, creative, in-depth, survival-driven community on the face of this earth has relegated itself to nothingness? And I really mean that. We have relegated ourselves to nothingness. We don't have faith in ourselves. We don't have the intestinal fortitude that we are diametrically opposed to success, it seems. Or could that just be propagandized news that is forced down our throats and forces us to see ourselves in that minimized capacity? I believe it's the second of it. We are seen as undervalued. We see it amongst each other. Even when you're in a political sphere. Here in Chicago, I've seen the current mayor, Brandon Johnson. He's been a mayor a little more than 18 months. In a 4-year stint, 18 months, and I've seen his feet held to the fire more than I've ever seen anybody in the history of Chicago in my adult life. Before that, Lori Lightfoot was the mayor, and her feet was held to the fire at the same pace. Before that, it was Rahm Emanuel. I didn't hear as much scrutiny. Before that, it was this criminal. I believe a dude who was a complete criminal. His name was Richard J. Daley. The reason I say my perception of him as the criminal. If all your friends go to jail, you might be a criminal. I'm just saying, if all your cronies do time and everybody connected to you is incarcerated, you might be a criminal as well. You just were not caught, or you had great soldiers around you, and they fell on their swords and they didn't tell on you. So the reason I'm doing this episode today is this: I'm sick and tired of the scrutiny. I'm sick and tired of the vitriol, and I'm sick and tired of the finger pointing, and most importantly, the laughter anytime someone's taken out in our community. As I watch things that are as rudimentary as sports, our quarterbacks are over criticized. The running back position has been annihilated, and we continue to accept what is given to us. I don't understand. Our musicians are done away with, and everything about us has been undervalued. And we sit back and we allow it to happen. The reason we allow these things to happen is simply this: there's two ways to view yourself. A governing structure, that is how you see yourself. How you see yourself. Do you see yourself as a valuable individual? Do you see your community as a valuable place to live? Do you see the people in your community as valued individuals? And a social structure, that's how people see you. And I truly believe how people see you is the number one reason we struggle, because we take into account what other people think of us more than we do it ourselves. We would destroy each other just to show I'm not a part of that group. We use these negative connotations like the N-word. And now you've made vomit into yogurt, because you made trash and waste into something that is glorious. I mean, that's how we know we don't address ourselves. That's how you know you've devalued yourself, because you use these negative connotations and use them as terms of endearment. Maybe, just maybe, if you take this into consideration, you got a person who, if you call them my brother, you won't be so violent, or my sister, you won't be so disrespectful towards these two people. But we don't. And then we try to fit inside these boxes and check all the boxes so we can enunciate to the best of our ability. So we can go to the schools that they deem wonderful. Or we can question each and every solitary thing about our brothers and sisters in this struggle that we call life. And maybe, just maybe, that's why we struggle. You know, the latest issue is this guy, Sean Puffy Combs. Whether he is guilty or not guilty, what I've noticed is this: you're watching this on YouTube more than likely. You're more than likely watching this on YouTube. And YouTube has become a gossip column of a bunch of people denigrating this dude, laughing at this dude, and what have you. Never taking into consideration that these could just be charges. Maybe he's just a 2K OJ. Or how about this? He's guilty as charged of everything that they're accusing him of. But it used to be this thing called a kitchen conversation. And what a kitchen conversation is, for the people who don't know what it is that's when you had close personal family business discussed at the kitchen table. It didn't leave the kitchen table. It didn't even leave that room. When you got through having that conversation, you let it go. You didn't go and laugh at the people. Because guess what? While you laughing at Sean Combs, if he is guilty, how about this? Would you laugh at your sister, brother, nieces, nephew, cousin, uncle, aunt, or grandparent if they were sexually assaulted or blackmailed or any of the things they're accusing their brother Combs? No, you wouldn't. And you would be upset if somebody chose to laugh and make fun of the pain or anguish that your relative has experienced. But we are comfortable going on podcasts, much like this one, and denigrating and laughing. And the most egregious of the other offenses is men laughing and saying, I told you. You got a couple people who are on every other podcast. For whatever reason, it comes through my feed. Even though I never like it, I never watch it, it's on my feed. I used to be with him, and he's this. And these wicked industry people. Well, why haven't you wrote a book? Why didn't you come out when it was happening? Because see, my way of thinking is this. If you see something bad happen to someone and you allow it to happen, you may as well have some baby oil too, or you may as well help rape that sister too, or you may as well help denigrate that brother too, because you're part of the problem. If you see somebody attacking an elder and you don't do anything, you may as well attack that elder as well. But see, we've fallen in love. We've lost, to quote the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., by being in America and assimilating to American culture, we found ourselves in a situation where we're morally bankrupt, because we will laugh at our brother, we will point the finger at our brother or sister, and then we'll get paid for it. And the justification is, hey, if I wouldn't have did it, somebody else would have did it. So you know what the last thing in American culture, there it was a bunch of people saying, if I didn't do it, somebody else would have did it. They call it the crack epidemic. If I wouldn't have gave him that cocaine, he was gonna get it some other way. Well, you were part of the problem because you handed that to him, and you profited off of it, and you fed your children via poison to one of your brothers or sisters because you need to get paid. And there are 1,005 ways to get paid. How about this? Just off the beaten path. www.smallbusinessassociation.gov. You can get a loan from the United States federal government. You can even get a waiver to not have to pay that loan back. Or just go get an EIN number and start a business. There are 1,005 ways to go about this, but we don't take the time to look into those. But we are happily poisoning our people. We're happily denigrating our people. We're happily treating our people like trash. And it's because we love this dollar thing. And then you're going to say, oh, well, money is the root of all evil. No, evil been around way longer than money. But you know what's worse? The fact that we continue to fall into the trap. We continue to fall into this divide and conquer trap. For example, how do you believe a lot of our ancestors were trafficked over here? It wasn't just they went over there and threw a net on people. You know what they would do? They would go to Sierra Leone. Well, it wasn't Sierra Leone at that time. We'd go to Sierra Leone, you go to Ghana, you go to Botswana. These are 3 separate countries. These are 3 separate regions of people. And they would get those people and mix them up so they couldn't communicate. Because contrary to popular belief, Africa is not a country. It is a continent. Just like you call yourself an American, and guess what? If you call yourself an American, this is how ignorant we are as a culture, the United States culture. Mexicans are Americans. Guatemalans are American. Hondurans are American. Canadians are American. You are a citizen of the United States. But you don't say, I'm a United Stateser. You say you're an American. So guess what? Just like you separate yourself from Canada and Central America and Mexico, people on the continent of Africa with 53 separate countries and over 2,700 different dialects, they separated themselves the same. And they mixed them up and they brought them over here, because if you communicate, you can unite. And if you not unite, and you are the global majority, which people who look like us are. People like us in South America, of course, North America, the continent of Africa, and throughout the entire earth. So if we ever start communicating, we may be able to make peace on earth. I'm not even going to use the terminology of take over this thing and stop it. No, you can make peace on earth, because it's more things that you have in common with people than you don't. But just like the rest of our ancestors who were captured and brought over here and blindfolded and beaten to submission, you don't even need the beating anymore, because you have people in the Caribbean that don't consider themselves black. Because I'm not a black American, because they listen to the propagandized news. They dealing with the social structure, how people see you. I do not want to be affiliated with these lazy black people. People from the continent, I do not want to be affiliated, but guess what? They showed you this week. You had an elected official call somebody from Haiti a nigga. I'm not even gonna say the N-word. He called them and he said, these black niggas, migrants. See, you can't confuse nigga and migrant. And you don't only use nigga if it's part of your everyday conversation. Just how easily it came off my tongue because I use the word, and I am not proud of it. But I do use the word because it's part of my daily conversation in private. I'm never gonna say it out loud in public and make people comfortable saying it. And I even, as I've gotten older, as much as I love hip hop music, I've even gotten uncomfortable listening to hip hop music when they say it, or comedians when they say it. It bothers me now. And it came with age, because when I was younger, I accepted it as a way of communicating. But what we do is we say things like, we don't support each other. First and foremost, we don't invest enough in businesses to support each other. How about this? How many of us, I just happen to be one of those people, bank with a black bank? I do also have my money in Chase as well, but I have my money in One United Bank, the largest independently owned black bank in the United States of America, and I also have a Chase account. But just imagine if we start putting all our money, it's just, you know what? If you could put $75 out of each check, that's a One United from your paycheck that you can spare. I'm not asking anybody to do something they can't afford, but just imagine if you put $75 a check, if you can afford, or $50 or even $25 into a One United account. That's what we could potentially change the way money is lended to the black community, because then they can set up their own credit structure situation, and you can be a landowner. If you're a landowner, land equals power. The reason land equals power, because God ain't making any more land. God don't make, he ain't gonna make many more rubies. He ain't gonna make many more sapphires, and he's definitely not gonna make any land. So things that are rare or unique or not gonna be mass produced, they become valuable. But we, as a society, we focus on what we don't do. If you say, because people told me nobody's gonna support you, and you know what? People told me that, and I got 585 subscribers. That's not that much, but guess what? Over the last 28 days, 24,300 people have tapped in. That's called support. And the things that I talk about, it's not a lot of people from all other cultures paying attention to me. As a matter of fact, 2.3% of my audience is from South Africa. How about that? 2% is from Canada. How about that? See, while we continue to say what we're not going to do, we never realize what we're actually doing. Look at some of American culture. 40 years ago, in about a month, 40 years ago, Chicago was introduced to this young man by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And in 2 months, he came out with this shoe called the Air Jordan. Black people bought it like it was going to be no more made. And guess what? It's the most popular shoe in the world 40 years later. That's called support. It was this one brother. He was a wildly successful man. And guess what? He had a TV show that started 40 years ago this year, 40 years ago in about a month. It was called The Cosby Show. And it became the #1 show in America. And he became the most popular dad. And it's because we embrace Bill Cosby, and we also embrace a different world. And guess what? More of our people start going to HBCUs and not PWIs. Why? Because we fell in love with this television show called A Different World. And there was another television show previous to that. I can go back to the Flip Wilson Show. I can go to That's My Mama with Clifton Davis. And then I can go to the Jeffersons. Then I can go to Sanford and Son, and so forth and so on. These shows are iconic, and everybody knows these people because we made them popular. And even in recent times, Spike Lee, his cousin, and then the guy, I can't think of his guy name right now, who directed the Black Panther movie. By the way, we made Black Panther popular because we kept going to see it. We kept supporting. Well, you tell me that but then we would consistently say, we don't support each other. Well, who's doing your hair? Black folks. Black folks are doing your hair. That's why, you know what? We act a fool around May every year, and we spend a ridiculous amount of money on prom. But who making those prom dresses? A black woman or a black man making those prom dresses and prom suits. But we don't support each other. But we just continue to buy into those tropes because we've been told that. And you know what? We see things on TV. We believe lies that white folks who hate us on TV tell, but you will question everything that I say. Oh man, H-Rap, I don't know about that, man. How you know? But some white man in a real nice suit sits on television and tell you black people are lazy, black people go to jail, black people sell dope. See, it's an epidemic in the black community. And guess what? Newsflash. The drug situation in 1978, 9.3% of the population used drugs. 9.6% of the population uses drugs right now. So how bad could it be in your community? Oh, well, the jails are filled with black people. See, that's why black people are criminals. Or you over police us and you create laws and you put us in a trick bag, and then you reduce funding in our schools. You put half-assed people in our academic situations, and we don't do the research to make sure we succeed, and then we buy into the propaganda. Because guess what? H-Rap become a millionaire. And what does H-Rap do? H-Rap gets the hell out of the hood. I got to move to Peel Hill. I got to move to the most affluent white neighborhood. I have the right to do this. Why do you always have the right to give your money to white people? Why don't you have the right to re-gentrification instead of gentrification? How about some re-gentrification? Whereas you making all this money and you and some of your friends who making that paper buy a building and rehab it, and buy another building and rehab it. Guess what? The last time I heard someone do that, his name was Dr. Jerry Buss, and he ended up purchasing the Lakers, and we went from being 100,000 there to being a millionaire, and he died a billionaire. But see, we are not focused on that. We're focused on getting away from the crime. But and then we want to complain about the police beating us, but we don't go to city council meetings. Well, we don't complain to City Hall. Because you know what? We tell each other, oh man, they ain't gonna do nothing. Ain't no need in doing that. Well, you know what? Imagine. It's been 160 years since the emancipation. Imagine if 180 years ago, our ancestors would have said, hey, we might as well take this thing, man. We might as well just take the slavery thing. It ain't no way out. Yeah, but see, and then we get mad at people who assimilate and say that, hey man, I'm good over here. And we call them things like coons and bootlickers and things of that nature. But then we act like coons and bootlickers and other things, other adjectives that'll destroy us. Don't do this because, see, brothers don't know how to act. Don't do this because sisters know how to act. This comedian by the name of Andrew Schultz, he inspired this episode today because he was making jokes about Black women being violent. He was making jokes about Black women being a headache. He was making jokes about all kind of negative jokes about Black women. That's why I did this show this morning, because I really wanted to kick his ass, and I still do. But see, I got to be angry with Leonard McKelvey, a.k.a. Charlemagne the God, who made that man comfortable enough to talk about our sisters like that. Let me take a second to tell you how great it is to be raised by a Black woman. I was raised by my mother. My mother watched my dad die. Literally watched my dad die. And 4 months later, guess who showed up? Me. Wait, she had 2 daughters before I got here. And I watched my mother go to school, work her way through school. I watched my mother raise me and my mother raised me and my 2 sisters. I watched my mother work her way from the bottom of the rung, working for the state of Illinois, to being a high-ranking official in the Department of Child Support Enforcement. So guess what? I never seen my mother hit anybody. It's me acting a fool, but I earned it. Or my sisters are not doing what she said, but I never seen my mother hit anybody. I never seen my mother be difficult with anybody. I never seen any of those things. I got aunts who helped raise me and my cousins. I got friends who their mother helped raise us as well. So when you talk about Black women being a problem, Black women are a problem for white men because they know they're a threat. I also watch Black women galvanize our community and set up block club parties and take us to places like Great America. It's an amusement park for the people who are not in Chicago. Six Flags is more affectionately known as. I seen Black women do that. I seen the Black women teaching us how to cook. I seen Black instructors in school teaching me things that I use to this very day and things of that nature. I seen Black women take a back seat to Black men. I know history, and I know how Black women when Black men could vote in the late 1800s during a period called Reconstruction, and Black women couldn't vote, those Black men would sit at those tables and they would discuss things that would be beneficial to the community with their Black man. But see, you think you got people using stupid ass terminology like, I want an exotic woman. Well, it ain't nothing more exotic than a Black woman. But you've been tricked into believing people who look like you are not exotic. They have to be a little lighter, and their hair has to be their curl has to be a little looser, and things of that nature. Again, making you hate yourself and love them. And these are the things that we've been struggling with for more than 400 years. You got some people on the continent who are bleaching their skin to be closer to being white because you bought into the concept of they're better than you. It's insane. And like I said, we fight for things that is equivalent to their approval, and their approval amounts to nothing. Their approval amounts to absolutely nothing. They got you calling yourself a minority, which comes from a derivative of a word called minor. And what is a minor? A child. You're the oldest culture on the face of the earth, and you call yourself a child. You're part of the global majority. There are more people on this planet, not country, not city, not state, not county, planet that look like you than any other culture, than any other group of people on the face of this earth. But then you let somebody who's part of a small piece of land that they've tricked you into saying it's a continent. Because if you look up the definition of continent, it is a body of land surrounded by water. Europe is not surrounded by water. Now you can call it Eurasia if you like, or you can just call it Asia, which it actually is. And it's still not as big and as bountiful as the continent that you derive from, which is called Africa. Or if you want to do a little history, it's called, guess what? The Garden of Eden. That's what it's called. That's what the natives called it before the Greeks and the Romans changed the name of it. Yeah. Understand how powerful you are. How is it that you want to brag about being innovative? If it wasn't for me, how you want to brag about perseverance? You can't hold me back. How you want to brag about how if it wasn't for our music, then you're gonna succumb and change your mind and address them as if they're superior to you. It's foolish, y'all. We have to get out of there. We have to get out. You got people questioning should they vote for a white nationalist who has clearly over the last 52 years displayed nothing but disdain for your community. But see, she locked up 1,465 criminals. Because now, if Vice President Harris ran in people's houses using Gestapo tactics, then she's wrong. But if you broke the law and they caught you, then she's not wrong. But by the way, when you want to quote that stat, she locked up 1,469 black men in the state of California for marijuana possession. Marijuana possession was illegal. But if you start regurgitating facts that are presented to you and do a little research, you find out 1,465 people were arrested, 46 of them went to the penitentiary, and she created a program so if you got your GED, your records could be sealed. But how about this? Let's not talk about Vice President Harris or former President Trump. Let's talk about the last time you created a pocket of people that could organize and get things done, like prison reform, like criminal justice reform, about the fact that every time you turn around, you're being harassed by the police in your city, state, town, or county, and you've never made a complaint. You've never called your state representative. You've never attended a city hall meeting. Let me guess, because they're not going to do anything. If they're not going to do anything, what are you basing that on? Seeing how you've never done those things. You've never organized. Many of us have never organized anything. And there's always that individual in the background. They're going, I did that. So, okay, if you did it, then you shouldn't have a complaint. Because if you organize 10 people, that means you can get 20 people. And then you get 200 people. And then you get 2,000 people. But we're not doing that. We're just complaining, and then we're succumbing to the oppressive will of the negative people in this country. That's all we do. We don't do that. I mean, last 3 days, all I've seen is jokes about Combs, jokes about Brother Kelly, jokes about Brother Cosby. But you know what I've never seen? Woody Allen and Mia Farrow adopted a young lady from Vietnam. Woody Allen is married to that lady. I've never seen any jokes about that. He's married to a person who he adopted and took on as his daughter. I never hear jokes about that. I hear jokes about our late brother Michael Jackson. I hear jokes about that all the time. And but guess what? You hear jokes about our late brother Michael Jackson. It was discovered by the Federal Bureau of Investigation that those kids were put up to say that, but we would still call our brother a pedophile. And then you get some jackass sitting on the sideline saying, well, you should let him watch your kids. I wouldn't let you watch my kids. How about that? I wouldn't let you watch my children. So what is that saying about you? Nothing. But see, we're quick to hold our feet to the fire. Because if we like or we don't like, or he's not, you don't even know these people. How do you have disdain for a person who you've never, who, if you drop dead, they wouldn't even know who to say condolences, send condolences to. They wouldn't even know, just like the homeless man on the corner, just like the dude that just rode past me on the street, just like the dude who sat next to me on the bus or the train or what have you. We don't know each other. So how don't you like someone? They told you not to like our young brother, LeBron James. You know why they don't want you to like LeBron James? Because LeBron James bucked the system. LeBron James has a black man counting his money. He has a black man negotiating his money, and he's employing black people. That's why. Because if everybody start doing what they, but you know what? He has enough power. He has enough power. They even made you mad at a brother named Deion Sanders because he did what he wanted to do. Did I agree with it? No. But I wasn't angry with him. I was disappointed that he left. And I was like, man, I wish he would have stayed. But we got people talking about some of his foot got cut off because he left people at HBCUs. Instead of, how about this? It's gonna be a bowl game in New Orleans this year. Every year. It's been going on for 100 years. How many of y'all gonna go to it? But a bunch of people in Chicago jumped their behinds on planes, trains, and automobiles and went to Houston, Texas, and made the people who kicked their brother out of the league for talking about police brutality. Y'all gave them some money. But how many of us are going to HBCU homecomings this year? See, we have the ability to fight the oppression, but we refuse to do it. We have the ability to fight the oppression, but we refuse to do it. We do it all the time. All we do is complain. Oh man, see, this is what we should have done, and this is what could have been done. And guess what? I don't remember seeing a whole lot of rallies, because this reminded me of when the great Dr. Martin Luther King, even though I wasn't alive, I do a lot of reading and research. When I found out that 70% of the people in this country that look like us did not like the great Malcolm X, and over 65% of the people didn't like the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when they were alive. It's crazy. But we can agree to disagree, right? But why must we agree to disagree in front of the enemy? The oppressive nature of this country is insane. And the people who sit around and hate us is insane. But we see the reasoning. See, Donald Trump might be. See, this Sister Harris might be. But you know what? Why haven't anybody in this community said, you know, we need our own party? What you gonna do the day after the election? What you gonna do the day after the election? See, okay, we put them in office, see, and then we'll see what they're gonna do. No, people don't do what you expect. They do what you expect. If you sit around and wait on a politician to do your bidding, you are outside your freaking mind. They're not gonna do it because you know what? You know, all you're gonna do is go to your homie or your girlfriend or your significant other, your best friend, or your significant other and complain. If you do that. But what happens if you get up off your behind and just start having conversations with your friends and family members instead of judging people? Instead of just judging them. It's okay to agree to disagree, but guess what? There's one common thread to agree and disagree. You have a stance and you're willing to listen to the other person's stance without judging them, without disrespecting them, and without focusing on things that are unimportant. Because see, I've been saying for months on this very program, we need to stop paying attention to the disrespect of the LGBTQ community. We need to stop participating in the disrespect of the LGBTQ community. For the last year, I've been saying, stop punching down on the migrants because you're not far behind in line. As soon as that white man said his behind on TV, two of them, J.D. Vance, I can't think of other dude's name, but J.D. Vance got on TV the other day and literally said, I lied. He literally admitted lying about saying, he didn't say the Latino people were eating cats and dogs. He said the Haitian people are eating cats and dogs. And then he turned around and said he made the story up. But why did he make the story up against the Latino community? Why did he make the story up about these? What y'all don't hear about the refugees that come from who's in the midst of that war in the Ukrainian people? Why he make it up about them? But he definitely made it up about us. And then another dude came on night before last and literally said nigga. But see, y'all busy worried about this. I'm sick of the gay people. Guess what? It's some gay people that's black. I told y'all, they put you in line and they put some people who most people look down on in front of you. So you can aim at them. And then they take a step back and let you kill them. And then you next. And it just happened. It's coming out now. Just like Samuel Jackson said in school days, y'all niggas just like us. Y'all niggas ain't gonna be niggas just like us forever. And y'all didn't believe it until that man stood his behind in front of the world and called them people niggas. And now you realize it. Now you got black people on TV who was talking about the migrants last week. I'm apologize. No. It's too late. You kick that can down the road. But it ain't too late. Again, it's a governance structure, how you see yourself. And a social structure, how they see you. This one is not important how they see you. It's how you see yourself. So while the African people don't like us. So it's over 1 billion people on a continent. You talk to all of them. No, because you won't even talk to nobody. If you don't live in Illinois, you ain't even talk to people in Illinois. If you don't live in Cook County, you ain't even talk to no black people in Will County. But you can speak for an entire continent of people. You can speak for the entire Caribbean. No, you can't. Because that's simple-minded and weak. You allow people like Stephen A. Smith to shape your ideas of sports figures. Another reason I did this episode today. I'm watching, and it's this young brother. And I did a short of it. This young brother by the name of Bryce Young. There's another brother named C.J. Stroud. This shows you how they will tear us down and never mention how point A got to point B. 2 years ago, this brother by the name of Lovie Smith. He was the coach of the Houston Texans. And they used to fight, and they lost like maybe 9 or 10 games that year. They won 6 games, I think. But all of those games about 1 or 2 points or possession. They might lose by 1 score or 3 points. And they fought and they fought and they fought. And by the end of the season, they were supposed to lose so they can get the #1 pick. But Lovie Smith said, no, we're going to win because every win counts. They said, no, we wanted the first pick, so you got to get up out of here, Lovie. But you know what Lovie had did? He had compiled an immense amount of talent around that team. And they just needed that one person to pull the trigger. And when they fired him, they hired our brother Miko Ryans. And Miko came in with structure, with talent, and then they won. And CJ, he had big-time receivers. He had solid running backs. He had an awesome offensive line, good defensive line, and the guy with a great defensive scheme. And the Houston Texans won. And nobody talks about Lovie Smith, who put that team together, much like our brother Mark Jackson has did in Oakland for the Golden State Warriors. Nobody talk. You rarely hear about Mark Jackson. So just like Lovie Smith can't get another job. But he put 2 teams in order and got fired for both. But D'Amico Ryans get all the credit. But our young brother CJ Stroud, who has playing off the chain, but you know what? You need a front office, upper management. You need good coaching. You need good teammates, and you need ability. And CJ has all of it. Flip the script to our brother Bryce Young. Bryce Young, you had this jackass Stephen A. Smith on TV yesterday or the day before yesterday saying Bryce Young he might be the biggest bust in the history of the league. Now, how about this? Sam Darnold, who was picked just like Bryce Young, he's never been called one of the biggest busts in the history of the league, and he stinks all to be damned. Baker Mayfield has sucked with the original team, the Cleveland Browns, sucked. Then he went to the Rams, sucked, and now he's doing solid with the Tampa. Went to the Carolina Panthers and sucked. Then he went to the Tampa Buccaneers, where he is now, and he's doing okay. But the thing is, people saying the Carolina Panthers were quarterbacks go to down. But our young brother Bryce Young has a poor offensive line, very little talent around him. He had a coach that didn't even want him, but you gonna call them the biggest bust in the world. Why? Because you're placating to the white dominant culture's opinion, and you're allowing them to dictate what you think, see, and hear. And that's exactly what we do in our communities. That's why we make if you do this, it's not gonna be supported. How would you know? What research did you do? Because you did something and nobody supported you. Maybe what you did sucked. Or maybe you didn't work hard enough. How long did you work for it? Did you do it 6 weeks, 10 weeks, and then it didn't turn out to what you wanted to be and you quit? Or did you do it for 10 years and no, you didn't do it for 10 years. I know you didn't. Because then you will realize how much success, how long it takes to be an overnight success. It takes about 10 years to be an overnight success. But you didn't do the due diligence. You didn't do that stuff. You didn't do the research. You didn't apply yourself properly. You didn't reach out to people. Because guess what? In order to be a success, you need somebody on the left, somebody on the right, somebody in the front, somebody behind you. You need a team. But you thought you could do it by yourself because you listen to people and say, and I did it all by myself, and they lying. But hey, man, you know what? Keep it up. Keep up the great work. Keep doing it. Make it happen. But you do it that way. But it's easy to get on that bandwagon of self-hate, self-denigration, and dismissal and approval from the culture that don't like you, because then they'll give you that money, and then you don't need it, and then that moral compass is out of the door. I'll give you another example. Our brother Shannon Sharp. He was Club Shay Shay. He had that man sit in front of him for 7 years and disrespect him on a regular basis. The Tom Brady thing might be the straw that broke the camel back, but I watched 10,000 straws lay right up under that. And what y'all don't want to understand is they do everything they can to protect their own. They do everything they can to protect their own. Skip Bayless sits around and pretends that he made black people. He didn't make Shannon Sharp. Newsflash. Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith saved Skip Bayless's career. Nobody's saying that. We've been the #1 show for 12 years. But guess what? It was nobody up against you for the better part of that 12 years. So what? The #1 in what? #1 in what? But what I know is because I watched that program. I watched it when it was Cold Pizza, then it became First Take, right? And I watched Skip Bayless run away to 2 Live Stools. I watched him run away Jamel Hill. I watched him run away Jalen Rose. I watched him get destroyed by Bomani Jones and I can't think of Israel Gutierrez. I watched those guys obliterate him. The only times his ratings will go up is when Stephen A. Smith will stop by. So he asked Stephen A. to come in. And then because we support each other and we made Stephen A. pop, and a lot of us at that time thought Stephen A. was embracing the culture, we started watching for Stephen A. Not for Skip, for Stephen A. And when Skip got tired of Stephen A. Smith growing faster than him, because that very contract that is about to end in 10 months, when Stephen A. got that $9 million a year contract, Skip tried to negotiate for more money. Yeah. And when he didn't get it, he went to Fox. Because he said the same thing he said 2 weeks ago. I finally got the constraints taken off me, and I'm at Fox, and I can say what I want. And he kept with the same trope because he got this charismatic brother named Shannon Sharp to roll with him. Because the ratings went a little higher when Shannon was there than when Stephen A. was there. And he took Shannon over to Fox, and then Shannon created Club Shay Shay and took off. It was a popular podcast way before brother Cat Williams got on there. It was a very popular podcast then. And guess what? Skip got jealous of it and tried to negotiate for more money. And he said, no dice. So he started attacking Shannon because I made you. And Shannon and Stephen A. are foolish enough to continue to say, now realize, hey, we made him. And guess what? Shannon left, and that show went straight to hell. It went from sugar to shit. But we keep hearing what Shannon, and what you hear white people say. Well, Skip, he the innovator of this. No, he's not. Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon are the innovators of that. And Skip Bayless, he caught a wave. And the wave that he caught is the housewife wave. Think about it. Reality TV took off right around the time Skip Bayless yelling and screaming at black men took off. And black women took off. and not making no sense and just yelling out foolishness. He made himself a fake remnant of Howard Cosell, and people ate it up. People ate it up. And that's Housewives dying out, so is Skip. And then 2 weeks ago, I can say what I want to say. Well, you were just negotiating an extension, Skip. But nobody looks into the truth because the pretty lie sounds better than the ugly truth. This is what we have to stop doing, buying into what people who hate us push towards us. If you hate me, why would I listen to what you say? But we do it because a white person said it, right? They said it on the news, right? But then they say our brothers and sisters from Haiti was eating cats and dogs 2 weeks ago. Nobody tripping. Nobody tripping. Just to show you how foolish we've become in this country, we don't even know basic civics anymore. The president of the United States is not as powerful as the governor of your state. I said this Tuesday on the program. The president of the United States is not as powerful as the governor of your state. They tell you he is because he's above the federal. But if you can explain to me how selling and using marijuana is illegal in America, but it's legal in the state of Illinois, that point blank period proves it. Why none of these parties talking about voting down ballot? You need to know who your city councilman is. You need to know who your state representative is. You need to know your state and U.S. senators are. You need to know who your city manager is. You need to know who is over your Department of Education, because that's what affects you. How many times have you considered, and again, I'm repeating this from Tuesday's program, how many times have you considered opening a corner store in your community and then putting out information saying, I need all the Black people to stop shopping down the street. We're Black, come shop here. Would you do that? Why not? I mean, they got the right. They ain't got the right to do nothing in our community, because I guarantee you, if you go into other people's community, you are not going to be able to open up shop. See, I'm going to go way out here, and then you're going to get a cross barrier in front of your store, where you're going to get vandalized and things of that nature. But we're cool with that. See, and then you stand there and fight with them. It's because you have the right to. Stop it with the right to. Stop it with the right to. Do y'all understand? We sit around and argue about Oscars. And Oscar, ironically, the Oscar trophy is named after a Black man, a Black filmmaker from 100 years ago. The Oscars is named after a Black man. But we get mad when we don't get Oscars. Remember, our sister Angela Bassett was sitting there pissed off when she didn't get that Oscar for when she played the mother in Black Panther. Why do we even care? They don't like us. So why would we care if someone who doesn't like me don't give me an award? Please. We make The Wire is a cultural show that is unbelievable. Insecure, another cultural show that is undisputed. Martin, Good Times, The Jeffersons, this fight night thing with Kevin Hart and Samuel Jackson and his crew. Our brother Dion Cole's show, Average Joe. We have the ability to make any and everything pop that we want. Because guess what? If we get behind the stuff that I just named, like Fight Night, or this documentary about quarterbacks that's coming out with Michael Vick, we all get behind that, or a large portion of the population gets behind that, guess what? It allows them to do whatever they want to do. And then we can go to, this app called Mansa, M-A-N-S-A. I mean, M-A-N-S-A. A Black-owned Tubi with a better quality of movies. They have movies from all over the diaspora. But we watch Tubi, which is trash, owned by Fox, and we won't download Mansa on the same streaming services. And it's just as free, and we can get behind it, and then we won't have to sit around and complain that we're not getting what we want. But we don't do that. We're willing to argue about an Oscar and argue about a head coach. But guess what? If we start putting the same energy behind HBCU basketball, HBCU football, and then create our own leagues and our own communities, we don't have these problems. But we're not thinking like that because we need to get to the major leagues. See, the Negro leagues is better than major leagues. Blah, 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 blah. We know it was because Ferguson Jenkins, Ernie Banks, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, just to name a few. These are brothers who were killing in the Negro leagues, but we need to get to the majors because that's where the big time is now. And Satchel Paige died a very rich man. A bunch of Larry Doby, another brother. It's a bunch of Leroy Campanella. See, they saw us catching up, and they said, this is the big league. You need to be over here. Nah, well, we're gonna stay in our league. I'm gonna close out in saying this. Just imagine if we poured into our community the way we pour into their community. We will be a self-contained machine. If we spend $1 trillion a year, what if like I live here in Chicago, Illinois, 35 to 40 miles to the east is this place called the Aurora Outlet Mall. 17 miles to the north is the Rosemont Outlet Mall. 35 miles to the east, 30 miles to the west is the Aurora Outlet Mall. 30 miles to the east is Michigan City, Indiana. Gurney Mills is 35 miles to the north. My brothers and sisters drive to all of those places to give white people that money so they can go to these big time outlets. Or won't go to the south and or west side to go shop at a black-owned establishment. I ain't gonna go all the way out there. Why don't we change the way we think and we can put ourselves in a better situation? Change the way we think so we can put ourselves in a better situation. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank all the people who came into the chat room: April Showers, D. Gray, DJ Mad Knox, Ben from BS3. Please subscribe to all those networks. We are all supporting each other. I got my sister Denise Milk and Cookies. I put that link in my group. I need y'all to donate to Denise's band because Denise is the very first person that you will be able to support and show that we give a damn about each other. Denise can do it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it in the chat room. She sent it to me. I need y'all to support this sister. I need y'all to support this right now because this is not even a lot of money to support. This is not a lot of money, but we can do it. We can support Denise and her drive to help these young people instead of always saying what the kids are not going to do and complain about things of that nature. I'm going to give y'all an opportunity to support our sister Denise because she supports me every single solitary day. Every time I fire up, without question, I see my sister Denise on here. So I need y'all to support her, please. Put this link in the chat room. And I'm going to need y'all to support this sister. And she's doing it for the kids. She's doing it for the children. There it is right there. I need y'all to hit that link. It's in the chat room. Man, if you ain't got but $10, $10, $5, $3 or $1, it's only $800. There's no way all the people that support me are not willing to tap into this chat room. I'll let my girl Denise put something in there. She'll take the money that jingle, but give us something that fold. Please support Denise because each and every person who has a podcast on here, Denise has taken the time out to support you. And I know that for a fact because when I'm watching their shows, I see Denise's name in the chat room. So why don't we support her? It says, I am raising funds for the Selma High School band of Blue. And support of our program will mean so much to me. Please consider donating and sharing this link. Thank you. Please support our sister Denise. It ain't gonna hurt you. $5 is not gonna kill you. This what you do. Don't buy that poison called McDonald's, Burger King, White Castle, KFC, or Popeyes, and give it that same $8, $10, $12 to Denise. With that being said, man, I want to thank y'all for tapping in. It's important that you continue to do so. If you're still watching this, hit the like, hit the share. When I end the program, come back in and comment. Do me a favor and comment when it ends. I am H-Rob-B, 2 fingers, 1 word.
The love that we have for one another is the greatest threat to the people who rule over us. And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way.